Welcome back to the channel, The Real Ish. Alright, so in this quick video, we're going to be discussing 4 of the best horror TV shows on Netflix that I've watched, okay? Obviously, there are so many different horror shows on Netflix, but we're only here to talk about 4. And these are 4 that I personally have seen myself that I find to be very great, very creepy, very horror-like. Alright, so let's get right into the video. Alright, so the first one I'm going to talk about is a series from 2016 on Netflix called Slasher. It only had 5 seasons, but if you've never heard of Slasher before, it says Sarah Bennett's parents were murdered by a killer known as the Executioner 30 years ago. Now she returns to the quiet community of Waterbury where the killings occurred. She started over with her husband Dylan, but upon arriving, they discover that things hadn't changed much. Sarah quickly finds herself at the center of a series of murders that revolve around the 7 deadly sins, which appear to be the work of the Executioner. But the original killer, who went by that name, Tom Winston, is in prison, so it can't be him. That means somebody else is behind the mask this time around, and the perp's true identity must be discovered to stop the latest string of murders. As long as buried secrets begin to surface, everybody around Sarah is a suspect. Alright, as I stated, it only had 5 seasons, but, well, I don't know how many. Let's see how many seasons it's had on Netflix. Well, it says 5 seasons, but on Netflix, it didn't return on Netflix, but Slasher was really good. It was creepy, and it had that whole, like, mystery aspect of it, but it was really like a slasher. Like it reminded me of the old school slasher movies, like slasher films, you know what I mean? So, and when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is good. You know, I wasn't too familiar with it, but by the time I saw it, I think it had already been on and gone or something like that. So, or either I came in the middle of it, I can't remember, but it was pretty good. And I went and saw all the seasons that Netflix had to offer. It says it did not start on Netflix. The first season aired on Chiller Network. Okay, and then Netflix acquired the licensing rights in 2017 to stream subsequent seasons exclusively. Okay, so it didn't start on Netflix, but it's a Canadian anthology horror series. Tells a self-contained story with a new cast and setting. Yeah, so I like that. I liked it. It was pretty good, and I like those things where it's a different killer each time, and that's what this was about. All right, Slasher was really good in my opinion. I give Slasher like a 9 out of 10. You know, it has everything you're looking for. Different killer, different story. It's never the same story, and that's what keeps it pretty interesting. Now, what I will say is when it left and then it came back, I think 2023 maybe. Yeah. So season 5 premiered on Shudder, a streaming service, in April 2023. So they moved it. Netflix didn't get it again. Netflix didn't have it anymore. So season 5 premiered on Shudder. Alright, I was excited. I was like, great, Slasher is back. But when it got on Shudder, I couldn't follow it. I couldn't really follow it, you know. But I tried to watch a few episodes, and Shudder isn't free either. So it was like, if I wasn't going to be able to follow it, I'm not going to pay my money. So that was that with that. But, I mean, when it was on Netflix, it was pretty good. Alright, so moving on to the next one. The Haunting of Hill House. Alright, it's a 2018 horror series. It says this modern reimagining of the Shirley Jackson novel follows siblings who as children grew up in what would go on to become the most famous haunted house in the country. Now as adults, they are forced back together in the face of tragedy and must finally confront the ghosts of their past. Some of those ghosts still lurk in their minds, while others may actually be stalking the shadows of Hill House. Like they stated, it has a great cast, it had a great story. That was really creepy. When I saw it, it's one of those shows you have to see. And this video is not like my other video. It's not to give every little detail about what happened in it. You know, I can't sit here and go on and on about what the show is about because we'll be here all day. But just know it was very creepy. It had a lot of creepy things going into it. It was one of those shows where I I couldn't stop watching it, you know? Yeah, it's people on Reddit saying that this is a great show. It's one of those ones where it only had that one season to tell the story and you wanted more, you know? You wanted more. Very creepy show, very worth the watch. Very worth the watch. The ghosts and everything in it were great. You have to watch it to understand it, and it's one of those shows where it needs your attention. Not to really necessarily follow everything, but it's one of those shows where you won't get distracted because it's that good, you know? So, alright, so moving on to the next one, we're gonna talk about The Haunting of Bly Manor. Now, with The Haunting of Bly Manor and The Haunting of Hill House, you see some familiar faces. They use some of the same actors, but kind of like when, what's the name of that show that come on FX? I used to watch it. I don't even remember the name of it. American Horror Story. I couldn't even think about it. I used to watch American Horror Story, you know, but it's kind of like American Horror Story where they use the same actors to play different characters. That's what I'm trying to say. Alright, so yes, The Haunting of Bly Manor. The Haunting of Bly Manor follows American au pair Annie Clayton as she takes a job in 1980s England caring for two orphaned children, Flora and Miles. Yeah. At the grand of unsettling Bly Manor. As she settles into the estate, Danny begins to witness strange occurrences and uncover dark secrets about the manor's history and its ghostly residents, including the Lady of the Lake. Alright, the series explores themes of grief, memory, and love, ultimately revealing itself to be a complex ghost story, deeply intertwined with a love story. So yeah, as it stated, it does have a love story and all of that above, but it's really good and it's got some twists and turns, and not to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but some people you think were alive weren't. But it was ghosts running around. I'm not gonna go too in deep into that and too in depth, but it's one of those, another great show that you have to watch. You just have to watch it, you know? So it's just one of those things you have to watch, you know? If you haven't checked out Haunting of Bly Manor on Netflix. That one was from 2020, so it's really good. Alright, so saving the best for last, we're gonna talk about one of the really scarier ones in my opinion, The Fall of the House of Usher from 2023. So this is just like 2 years old. Alright, siblings Roderick and Madeline Usher have built a pharmaceutical company into an empire of wealth, privilege, and power. However, secrets come to light when the heirs to the Usher dynasty start dying. Yes, a lot of these people in the family just start dying off one by one by one by one. You have, as it says, siblings. They have what any family has that has money problems. And like the other ones, they have some of these characters that you may have seen before. But yeah, a lot of the families start dying off. They don't know what's going on. But as the show goes on, you start to learn. You start to see the twists and turns. You start to learn exactly what is going on. It has a lot of suspense. It tells a story, and you wonder what is going on. You wonder, you know, what it's about. Something says is The Fallen House of Usher worth watching. As I state also, yes, it says it's generally considered worth watching. Praise for strong performances, compelling narrative that cleverly weaves together Edgar Allan Poe's work and a satisfying, dark, and dramatic ending. Alright, it does contain gore, very gory scenes, and it may not be for everyone. Some viewers found the horror elements less pronounced than previous series. It's really about greed. That's what greed and corruption, that's what it's about. And when you start to put family and money and all this stuff like this, like all of that is nah. But this is a fictionalized modern reimagining of Edgar Allan Poe's gothic horror stories and real world allegory for the Sackler family and the opioid crisis. So it's based off of some of Edgar Allan Poe's work. I forgot about that. But yeah, as I stated, it wasn't to go in on these and tell you every little detail. Like, no, I'm not doing that. But you can go see it yourself. I'm just here to give you the information and tell you I saw these 4 great horror TV shows on Netflix. The one that's considered the #1 scariest on Netflix is The Haunting of Hill House. Alright? It says out of all of, not even just these 4, but out of all the 20, the 16, it's lists all on Google. So if you want to go find it yourself, if you want to see more scary TV shows, that they have a list on Google, but I didn't see a lot of those, so I didn't cover them. But they say that Haunting of Hill House is the scariest. All right, so have you seen it? Let me know what you think. All right, that's it for this. I just wanted to cover just those 4. All right, hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. Comment your thoughts and check me out on the next video. Thank you for watching, and as always, God bless.